A block party all about hip-hop is not the kind of event you'd normally expect the St. Louis Art Museum to host. But there it was, a literal stone's throw from the steps of the venerable institution. The party coincided with the museum's August 19th opening of The Culture, Hip-Hop and Contemporary Art in the 21st Century. Among the sculptures on display is this depiction of a giant pair of Nike Air Force One basketball shoes. St. Louis artist Aaron Fowler created this mixed media sculpture out of recycled car parts and other materials. Air Force Ones took off in the hip-hop world and the national fashion scene after a hit single by the same name was released in 2002 by Nelly and the St. Lunatics.
And in this section, we are thinking about the ways in which hip-hop culture can have both a coded language sometimes with rap music, but also thinking about graffiti.
Andrea Purnell is the museum's audience development manager, and for purposes of the culture exhibit, her role expanded to include curator.
This exhibition is a collaboration between the Baltimore Museum of Art and the St. Louis Art Museum. So we're both co-organizers, and 30% of the exhibition is made up of artists from either St. Louis or Baltimore.
And creatives from both communities worked with the museums as a curatorial team.
And this was an opportunity for us to showcase how much of an impact this art form has had on the entire world. There is a global aspect to the exhibition, thinking about artist work made mostly within the last 23 years, but the breadth and depth of how this art form has evolved over the last 50 years is on full display, as this exhibition is really showing us how hip-hop has influenced contemporary art.
The exhibit is divided into sections reflecting common themes in hip-hop culture, including ascension. One of the signature works here is this sculpture of a head made of crystals layered over concrete. St. Louis artist Damon Davis titled it Ego.
This is part of a bigger body of work called Cracks, and I started doing this work about 3 years ago when my mom passed. It was they self-portraits cast in my actual face, and I do them out of concrete because I'm talking about masculinity, I'm talking about grief, and I'm talking about protection. And I was trying to think of what's the hardest stuff in the world, and it is the street when I think about it. And so that's why they made out of concrete. But usually the crystals that I do, I pick precious gems and I implant them into the concrete. Now, this is the first one of the series where I actually took a concrete bust of myself and grew the crystals on top of. And that's why this one is called Ego. Since the dawn of hip hop, jewelry, diamonds, gold, embellishment, and putting on things, right, as a protective layer when we're moving through class, because a lot of us come from either working class or lower class backgrounds. And when you, I guess, get famous through this line of work, in my mind, that we wear as armor.
Two related photographs serve as bookends for the exhibit. Visitors entering are greeted by this 1998 picture taken by the late groundbreaking photographer Gordon Parks. Titled A Great Day in Hip Hop, more than 170 members of New York's hip hop community came together on the steps of a brownstone in Harlem to celebrate just how far the cultural movement had come. And as visitors exit, they see a 2022 STL interpretation called A Great Day in St. Louis. Photographer Adrian Octavius Walker chose Art Hill to be the backdrop for the gathering of local hip-hop creatives. For Damon Davis, who was born in 1985, hip-hop has been a major force in his life for his entire life.
It has definitely shaped the way I see the world and who I am as a person. So I think it's super important for everybody to know the gravity of how important this culture is.
For Living St. Louis, I'm Ruth Ezel.